Okay, I understand that the topic today is about triumphs and trials in modern day Kirov, something along those lines. What are the answers? You know, Jews usually answer questions with a question, and the truth is that it's all a matter of perspective. Just an introduction, different people have different views, and everybody, of course, presents his side of the story. But I've learned it's a matter of perspective. You know, one of my favorite stories about this fellow who got up in the morning in Brooklyn and got into the Belt Parkway. The only problem was he entered through the exit. So he opens up the radio, and in New York there's a helicopter that reports on the traffic patterns. So he hears the following announcement. As the fellow says, "Ladies and gentlemen, on the Belt Parkway, watch out. There's a Meshuggah going the wrong way." This guy gets so angry. He says, "One Meshuggah? Look how many Meshuggah, they're all going the wrong way." Yeah. So it's a matter of how you look at things. I just had recently a couple comes to a marriage counselor, and so the marriage counselor, "No, what's the problem?" So the guy said, "Well, I'll start." So my wife is great. She's wonderful. She cooks. She bakes. She's a great mother. So what's the problem? She's very babyish. It's a generic statement. Tell me how does it express itself? So the guy says, "Counselor, what can I tell you? Every single morning she steals all my toys." Right? Where's the problem? Anyway, why am I saying this? Because sometimes I hear ridiculous statements and claims. There was a Rav here in Israel that claimed that he was Makar of a million people. And if you take the collective claims of all the organizations that are Isaac, that are busy with Kirov V'Chaikim, you just wonder why Mashiach is not here yet, because Klal Yisrael did tshuva twice, not once, according to the numbers. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. We have a short period of time, relatively speaking, for the depth of this topic. So I'd like to really stick to, as they call it here, tachlis. Everybody knows there are different approaches to Kiruv. You can compare the approach, let's say, of Eish Torah to Sameach, not Lubavitch to Belz and Breslev, and other OU like Rav Amnon Yitzchak. Everybody has their own mahalach. And again, you can hear so many different ways. And as long as they're legitimate, in baya, no problem. I can only speak from my perspective and the approach that we took in Michigan and the Midwest, and then involved in college campuses throughout the States and Canada. The famous story of Rav Silver was the head of the Agudat Ravanim in America. So they say that he was once driving, and his driver was going really way above the speed limit. So a cop stopped him. And the driver apologized. I have here one of the greatest rabbis in the world, and he's the chief rabbi of the United States. So Cyril sticks his head out and says, "And Canada." Yeah, so just to make sure that he didn't miss the... Anyway, so, okay. So the groups that I personally was involved in, the organization that I was involved with, were involved, is basically, I would say, students of all kinds of backgrounds. Primarily, I'd say over 90% Reform Conservative, or atheists, or humanists, whatever. A small percentage of more religious students too. We also dealt with professionals, young professionals that we used to have lunch and learns. We used to have in hospitals for Jewish doctors, and in law firms downtown Detroit and in Birmingham, Michigan, different places where we had lunch and learns for unaffiliated professionals. Of course, we had also older ages, but the target groups were those target groups. There's another group that I worked with in the past to some degree, and currently more than recently, and that is the group of questioning Jews who are really officially religious, but they have a lot of questions. Kids at risk, or right now I work with the Israeli army. Just yesterday was in Har Keren, which is the Bach Givati, for anybody that knows. I usually go either to the Air Force bases, Nevatim, Chatzerim, and places all around the country. Outposts next to Aza, and I work with the Tzanchanim, with the Givati, and with the Netzach Yehuda, Nachal Haredi, and so on. Over there, obviously, the kids come from religious backgrounds, but believe me, they need no less help than those who come from, and sometimes even more, those who come from non-religious backgrounds. Okay, after this introduction, I really would like to focus on 4 points. In the process of Kiruv, in the process of, again, it's a bit difficult for me to know because it wasn't specific topics that other speakers spoke about. I hope I'm not repeating things and going over things that were not spoken about, that were spoken about actually. Okay, so the first thing, point number 1, is the creation of interest. I mean, you come to a community, you come to a college campus, and you have to create interest. How do you create interest, right? Number 2 is, once you create an interest, you have to understand your audience. There is a tremendous difference between one audience and another, b'derech klal. Sometimes you can have similar too, but b'derech klal, there's mamish day and night. In the army nowadays, I can tell you I have a group I called Group Gimel, Bet, and Aleph. I don't want to say which group is my favorite, but Group Gimel are soldiers that have zero interest, and they're not happy with themselves, and they come from very difficult backgrounds. Level 2 is in between. They come from a little better background. They also join more better units, and you can talk to them. Sometimes they are childish, but it's decent. Then you have the highest group, which is the elite units, Tzanchanim and others. They really it's a different ballgame. Intelligent, interested, questioning, and you can have a very intelligent conversation and discussion. So again, you have to know every Jew is an entire world. It doesn't make a difference whether he's intellectual or simple or what. But as far as the individual dealing with that person, you need to know who you're dealing with, or else you're going to go the wrong way. Shalom Shvadron Zatzal was asked once by a fellow. He says, Reb Shalom, we all know that you're the big Talmud Chacham. Reb Shalom Shvadron printed his Zaydis Tshuva Shois Marsham. He was really a genius and a great scholar. So they asked him, but when you speak so simple, and you give Mesholim, Maisalach, things. In Yiddish they say sepast nicht, it's below your dignity. Why you do that? So he said, I'll tell you what. He said, not so long ago, before they came out with the blueberry tasting Tylenol, and before they had all kinds of flavors, the kids don't want to take medicine unless they have the right flavor. He says, in the old days, there wasn't such a thing. I remember when I was a kid here in Israel, I grew up, there was such a thing. Medicine was bitter. Sometimes very, very bitter, sometimes a little less bitter. So he said, the mother wants to give the kid who the doctor said needs the medication, but he doesn't want it. He spits everything out. So what does a Jewish mother do? She tells him a little story, and then she tickles him. And all of a sudden he starts laughing. Oh, while he's laughing, boop, you put the medicine, dip in their stomach, they can't throw. He said, that's what I do. I got to tickle them. You have to tickle them with a maisa, with a story, something interesting, and then I can put the medicine in between. Okay. And I think it's very true, especially in the smartphone generation, which again, I was very involved in the beginning of. Right now, it's 7 years since I left the States and came back here. It got much worse as far as the problem of attention and attention span and so on. Okay, so again, as I said before, I wanted to share with you some practical advice and experiences. First, as you know, generically speaking, you have to have food. Whenever you have a gathering with Jews, you have to have food. That was my policy from day one. I don't remember kimat any time that I had a program without food. Chazal say, "Gedola legima shemekarevet halvavot." There's nothing. I always said that my wife's cholent made many more Baal Tshuva than all my droshes put together. There's nothing like something really. It's true. People really relate. Also, they open up. Chazal say, "Gedola legima," also Torah emes. But Lamashal, to get the interest of the student, again, I'm speaking about in early days. Today, the situation is a little different, and you have to ask people who are currently on campuses, because the intelligence level and the interest level really vary from campus to campus and from place to place. One of the people on campus who I used to go on the West Coast to speak quite often, confessed to me, says that most of the people applying are not Jewish. By legally, halachically, they're not Jewish. It's a huge problem. So certainly, what I'm saying is the audiences change, and you have to always, understand who you're dealing with. But as far generically speaking, how do you pick the interest of those people? So again, it varies from one audience to another. On college campuses, B'derech Klal, I used to choose a very provocative topic, and people responded to it. Mercy killings, controversial things. Intermarriage, I always had a full house. Came out every time. I used to have a whole play. I played out. My name is John, and I am the victim of my mother's, racism or bigotry, whatever you want to call it, and she doesn't want me to marry my lab partner, who is a wonderful Gentile young lady. So, and it was all dialogue. But things like that really were always, Kimat always had a full house when we spoke about those things. I used to bring in speakers, famous speakers from other places, things like that. That's obvious. I think it's quite obvious. For a while, on campus, when we felt that needed a little bit more of involvement, so we had trivia games for money. Who wants to make $1 million? It was a famous thing. So who wants to make $100 or $500, whatever it was? And it was a tremendous thing because it was very exciting. I mean, the people ran for the money. And also, it gave us an opportunity to show the kids how little they knew about their own heritage. One of my favorite things I used to do, I used to ask them, I said, tell me, does anyone here know who Moses' mother was? Ayima shel Moshe Rabbeinu. No. Somebody says, I think it was Miriam, right? I said, very close call. But I imagine 50 students, and not one of them really knew who the mother of. So then I asked him a second question. I said, tell me, does anyone know who Jesus' mother was? The whole was Mary. I didn't say, I said, I waited for about 2 minutes, silence. I said, just reflect about what just happened here. You know about the other religions way more than you know about. and they were shocked, you know. So sometimes you have to use shock treatments in order to awaken them. When I used to want to awaken parents, I have on a video in Michigan State University, I interviewed a student, and I asked him, tell me, do you know who Theodore Herzl was? Theodore Herzl? No, really. David Ben-Gurion? I said, David who? David Ben-Gurion. I said, David Ben-Gurion, you mean? No, I said, David Ben-Gurion. Never heard of him. I showed this video to the parents. And mainly they didn't know about Moshe Rabbeinu. No. Aber Theodore Herzl? Das ist geht nicht, das ist in Yiddish. That's already too much. Okay, so again, you have to use your imagination, you have to use your creativity in order to arouse the interest. I had recently in France, I spoke for a conference, a Shabbaton for rabbis of France. I told them, you know, you're dealing a lot with not from people. איך מזיזים יהודי חילוני לשמירת מצוות? How do you move them? What do you say? Okay? So again, I'm just mentioning as a topic for discussion because it's really very interesting. There are ways to do it. It's not the forum here that have the luxury of time to do it. But just other thing, what we try to do, and Baruch Hashem, that was very, very successful. And actually, we owe tremendous thanks to the Wolfson family because it wouldn't have happened without them. But there was a period of time that we were a little bit frustrated, myself and my staff, because we used to get a lot of students involved for one night. Then you wouldn't see them for half a year. At one point, we had 250 students, but nothing came of it. We took one or two, we took registration for, but it didn't. So I was thinking, what is it? What's the problem here? Why is it they seem to like what we have to say, but so I said, you need consistency. So I sat with the staff and we worked it out. Came up with the idea of like this. We used to schlep kids to Israel. We used to bring a lot of groups here to Israel from, let's say, in college campuses. So I said, wait a minute, financially it doesn't make any sense. Let's combine all the problems and make a solution out of it. So we came out with the following challenge. Very interesting. It's called Maimonides Jewish Leaders Fellowship. Have you heard of that? Maimonides? No? Okay. So the Maimonides idea was very simple. I had a group that the Federation of Detroit used to send me every year. Interns, they came to see the Orthodox side of the story. It used to be like a half a day. And I provided them with all kinds of things, experiences, took them to the kosher bakery, to different institutions, the nursing home, whatever. So one day I asked the guys, I understand, it's the middle of the summer, it's hot, your friends are on the beaches or whatever, all over the world. Why are you doing this? So they laughed, we're getting paid for it. Oh, you're getting paid? I didn't realize. Okay, I thought it was voluntary. Okay, so we have the idea. And we said that we're going to give every student $500 cash if he or she signs up for 10 weeks of learning, which means every week 3 hours of learning, 2 Shabbatonim, 1 community service day, and a few other things. And it was amazing. It was amazing. What did we gain? We gained that people had a structured series of lectures from 10 weeks. It was the first hour was a lecture, and then it was a discussion group, and then was a guest speaker, and of course food in between. It was really tremendous. But we made it very prominent. That's another point I want to indicate to you. You have to make it prominent. You have to make it important. So every student that was accepted to the fellowship needed to go through a grilling interview of 5 people, a rabbi and one community member, a student. We made a committee. It was unbelievable. It became a covet. By the way, from the first group, we had 17 students we selected from a lot of students, and 13 of them today are Shem Torah mitzvahs. 13 out of 17, not bad. Okay, but again, there was no preaching. It was leadership. We told them honestly, we are going to teach you Judaism, because if you want to be a Jewish leader, you have to know what Judaism is about. There was nothing hidden, nothing there. It was very open, very straight, So, again, this is a college campus. In the city, we used to have also very interesting topics in different lunch and learns. And in Henry Ford Hospital, we used to have like 25 doctors and a lawyer downtown, a very prestigious law firm, also about 25, 30 lawyers. And over there, I learned with them Pirkei Avot. They felt that a text, and we analyzed it. It was really beautiful and great. Again, I'm trying to squeeze in as much as I could in the short period of time. But today they came up also, by the way, this idea of the Maimonides was very strongly opposed by the Hillels because they said that we are buying them for money and on and on. But Baruch Hashem, we prevailed and it became very popular. And Ad Hayom Hazeh, there's over 50 branches, and there are imitations for that. Chabad took it and they call it a Sinai scholarship. Whatever, different people. People ask me if I mind. I said, B'diuk ha'efech, the more the merrier. The less pressure on me. Do it. And Rabbi Weinberg Zatzal from Torah interviewed me for 2 hours. He wanted to know what's the success, what's the secret of success. Okay, but that was on college campuses, and Ner Le'elef and the Wolfson family took it. Now it's in Israel, it's called Nefesh Yehudi. In South America, it's another name in English. But it's the same idea. The basic idea. Baruch Hashem was zeicher to come up with that combination. So nowadays, again, the different things that work. Sometimes it's different chavayot, different experiences. Shabbatonim, traveling became very popular. Not only to Eretz Yisrael. I remember doing the Intifada in 2000, 2001, that parents refused to allow the kids to come to Israel. So I took them to California, right, to the Jewish community there. But what can you do? I mean, and Baruch Hashem, tremendous results. A lot of my friends now on campuses tell me that they take kids to Poland, they kids to England, give them fun, and sometimes to Costa Rica, whatever. Jews are innovative, and Baruch Hashem, there's a lot of options, right? And it works very, very well. There's a student of mine actually now is involved in a project which is very, very successful. It's J internships. And that is that you offer students or young professionals an internship in Israel. And you connect them with Israeli companies, with high tech or whatever, and they have certain things they have to do as part of the program. And it really has a tremendous impact. The other thing that works sometimes in intriguing young men is to be involved in chesed projects. That's a tremendous thing. A lot of kids that were very interested in chesed in Detroit, we had Yad Ezra. People came, and it was a tremendous thing that they want to feel that they give something. And once they get to know Jewish people and religious people, they connect. It's an automatic process of getting to know each other, getting to know the community. Okay, I'll move to point number 2, and that is understanding your audience, understanding the type of people that you want to attract. So again, this is also a very, very deep and extended subject, but I will try to stick to the basics. Many people, you paint Baal Tshuva in a generic group. But everybody here, I'm sure, knows the Metzias is that everyone has different interests. Some people come to Yiddishkeit because of intellectual pursuits. Some people come from emotional events in their life. Some people come to they're looking for a crutch, a mental crutch. There's all kinds of people, and again, it's so important. I can't emphasize enough. Important to know who you're dealing with. Sometimes, if you don't understand the individual coming to you, you may give him absolutely wrong advice. And sometimes they need a psychological evaluation. Sometimes they need a philosopher to deal with them. There's all kinds of different backgrounds, and it's extremely important to understand that. Okay, so I would break this into 3 categories. One is emotional, intellectual, and philosophical. I'll give examples of each kind to understand what I mean. I had a fellow once in Michigan that was one of the top law students in the entire state of Michigan. I think it was number 4, rated number 4. A brilliant guy. So someone referred him to me, and he came. He was completely unaffiliated. So for a few months, he came to the shiurim, and he liked it. So one day he says to me, Rabbi, what can I tell you? I love to come to the classes. It makes a lot of sense to me. But I know this whole Jewish thing, it irks me, something that doesn't sit well with me. I said, listen, I know what to tell you. Tell me, give me an example. What really irks you? What bothers you? He says, tzitzis. Tzitzis bother me. I said, why? He said, yeah, those strings, there's something spiritual about strings. I see those yeshiva guys going, and it's going all over the place. That makes you spiritual. It's ridiculous. So I looked at them, and I think it clicked that, what does bother you? Okay, so I asked him a question. I said, let me ask you, did you ever graduate? He said, shul, kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high school, college. I'm now about to graduate law school. So, terrific. I want to ask you a question. What did you wear during graduation? He starts laughing. He said, a long coat. I said, like a chassid, right? He said, you can't think of it? Yeah. So why did you wear it? He said, I have no clue. I have no idea. Everybody else wore it. It's fine. Said, okay. What did you wear on your head? Oh, Rabbi, that was really funny. It's this square head. It's very interesting. Tell me, what was on top of that? That chupchiko? That thing, the tassel, on the side? I saw pictures. I never graduated, but I saw pictures. He says, yeah, Rabbi, wow. I asked him, tell me, does it look like a little bit like tzitzis? He said, oh, I never thought about it. I said, that's the problem when you don't think. You wore tzitzis on your head in one of the happiest days of your life, and it didn't bother you. But when a yeshiva bocher wears tzitzis that God told him to wear, you feel funny. You need a psychologist, not a rabbi. Something wrong. I told him, of course, in a very friendly fashion, and he was shocked. He says, you know what? You have a point. A few weeks later, he came to the shiurim with tzitzis himself. Today, Baruch Hashem, is Shem Shabbos, Shem Torah Mitzvahs. His kids are going to Jewish day school. Because again, he realized that he had nothing really, but he looked down at everything religious. I remember one time a Russian student, brilliant student, that was in dental school. He says, Rabbi, I love what I hear, but I have a problem. What's the problem? He says, I have a spiritual scar. I said, what's that? He said, I was brought up in the Soviet Union, and every time a kid in the class made a comment about religion, spirituality, it was ridiculed. I push it, I can't get over it. Itaki had a very hard time. He did not become Shem Torah Mitzvahs because Itaki, he struggled with it. He tried. And then you have something which is more of the, that sounds logical also, but it's already a madrege, one step up. So I remember one time I took a group of students from the States, came in for a visit. I took it to a big yeshiva, well, in the Ezrat Nashim, and there was a few hundred bochim learning Bas Mother. It was very beautiful. And I talked to them, and it was in the evening, and then they went and they took the jackets and the hats, and they learned Mussar before Mariv. And then, excuse me, they were davening Mariv. So, and they came to Shema Yisrael. They said, Shema Yisrael, the walls were shaking. And then comes Shmona Esrei, and they shake, and they this. So one of them says to me, an intelligent young man, he says, Rabbi, this is crazy. Those people are fanatics. What do they do? They, as I say in Yiddish, they shuckle, and they scream, and it's ridiculous. That's Judaism. The Meister, it looks crazy for someone who doesn't know the background. So I told him, listen, I'm an Israeli. I don't know anything about sports, but my kids tried to explain me about 2,000 times about baseball. I don't know exactly what it is. But I know one thing. I know that they explained me that there's a guy, there's a big jlov, there's a big guy, and he holds this Makeh Bepatish, this this bat, and there's another guy, and they throw, and he has to zetz it, and there's something called a home run. A home run, that's the home, I guess. That's where they live. So the home run, okay. So I tell him, what happens when somebody hits a home run? Oh, Rabbi, don't ask. He says, I know because my kids told me. My kids did go to a game. He says, people stand on the bleachers, they scream on the top of the lungs. Ah! What's the geschehen? What happened? This big job gave us zets. And the zets, mavish, zets, that it flew all over Meiradik. I said, who is this guy? Would you want your daughter to go out with him? No. So all the professors in your college about the game, and they stood like little kids. That doesn't bother you. He said, listen to what's happening here. Those guys are speaking to God. You know, do you understand? It's not to Donald Trump or Obama. They're speaking to God. You know what it means? They're excited. You may not get it because you're not holding there, but you're laughing at them because they do something crazy. You do much crazier things. Okay, again, I'll give you now an example of more philosophical. I was asked to give a class by the Hillel of University of Michigan. I had my reasons. I didn't want to get paid from them. I told them I'll do it voluntarily. I did it. And I started to learn Pirkei Avos. Pirkei Avos with the group. So Moshe Kibbutz Torah Sinai, explained them. Things went relatively well, sometimes very well. And then we got into a Mishnah. Al tarbe sicha im ha'isha. Be'ishto amru, kal v'chomer be'eshet chavero. מכאן אמרו חכמים, כל המרבה שיחה עם האישה גורם רע לעצמו, וסופו יורש גיהינום. Why? You should have seen the room. It was bubbling. The walls was caving in. And one young lady gets up and she says to me, Rabbi, if that's what Judaism has to say about women, I'm out of here for good. And she starts walking out. I said, okay, it's a free country. So I turned to her, I said, young lady, I want to ask you, are you a liberal? She says, sure. University of Michigan. I said, okay, so liberal people usually give a chance to the other one to respond. Would you want me to respond to your criticism? Nothing to respond, she said. Aren't you liberal? Oh, yeah, I'm liberal. Okay, yeah, what do you have to say? I said, nothing. I'd like to ask you one thing. Come back to your, open up the book, and you read it and you translate. So she, nice young girl, intelligent, she sits down and she starts reading. She says, Rabbi, this is even more awful than before. I mean, what do you want? I said, no. Listen, did you analyze? Did you think of what you're saying? To whom do the sages speak to? Again, intelligent girl, she says, I said, to men or to women? She says, obviously speaking to men. I said, so why are you getting upset? All the men should have walked out of here. What does it have to do with you? I said, listen, you know what ribui means excessive. You know, a husband comes home at night and he has excessive talk, sicha. Anyone that knows, Gemara knows, that sicha is always a light talk. Sichat chulin shel Talmidei Chachamim. Sicha is like, say small talk. Right? He comes home and he speaks to his wife, small talk, not stam. Marbe, excessively. What does it mean as far as his outlook? How does he look at his wife? Little kid, speaks Narishkeiten, shtiyot. Be'ishto amru. If you mistreat your wife like that, that means that you're a bum. But be'eshet chavero, tzniut, inappropriate behavior. וסופו, גורם רע לעצמו, וסופו, I say he belongs in hell. Hitaka belongs in hell. A guy who has that view of women belongs in hell. She says to me, really? Never thought about that way. I said, that's the problem when you don't think. This girl stayed in, I'm telling you, it's a nice show. She ended the semester. I didn't hear from her. I dealt with many students. I didn't hear from this young lady for a long time, maybe 15 or 20 years. A few years ago, Erev Yom Kippur, I get a note. And the note, I am so-and-so. I don't know if you remember me, Rabbi. I remember that for sure. There's one person, certain things stick to your mind. He says, I feel guilty. I didn't tell you what happened. After the semester, I went to Israel to a religious kibbutz. From there, I ended up in the Yerushalayim. And then I moved back to California. I married a religious guy, and we have 3 children, and we are very, very happy. And it's all because of you. So he sends me a check for the organization. Tshuva, Erev Yom Kippur, whatever. So later on, actually, when I came here, somebody asked me to speak in one of the Moshavim. I was speaking, and this lady comes over to me. She says, Rabbi, you remember me? I remember, no, many years. She says, that's me. She introduced 3 children who are, Baruch Hashem, from, and her husband. It was an unbelievable thing. Because her reaction was really intellectual. She thought for sure that the sages are saying horrible things. I had a similar experience in downtown Detroit. A group of lawyers. I spoke there, and also learned Pirkei Avot. So I got the Mishnah. It says, "Istakel b'shlosha dvarim, v'yi ata ba lidei avera. דע מה למעלה ממך, עין רואה, אוזן שומעת, וכל מעשיך בספר נכתבים." I finished explaining this, and one of the lawyers, a young, brilliant lawyer, says to me, Rabbi, that's horrible. I said, why is it horrible? He says, you mean to tell me that I have to behave because somebody is like a mashgiach on me all the time? He watches what I say, it's like I'm in jail and everything, I have no privacy, everything, that's what Judaism says. I said, listen, everybody can have his own perspective, but let me share with you my perspective on it. I said to him, John Kennedy was a very popular president. Many books were written about John Kennedy. But who wrote the books? People wanted to make a quick buck, something from the New York Times, or whatever. How well did they know John Kennedy? Spend with him an hour? Probably not. 2 hours, 5 hours, a week? Exaggerate, right? So, but they wrote about him. And really, usually people are very shallow. I said, imagine. You are so prominent in the eyes of God that He wants to see everything you do. He wants to listen to every krech, to every problem that you have. You know who the author of your book is? The creator of the universe. Not a New York Times, quick buck hungry fellow. Can you imagine? Know the elevation, המעלה. עין רואה ואוזן, וכל מעשיך בספר נכתבים. That means that how can you sin if you understand how prominent you are? You just can't even come to sin. So again, the same reaction. People, when they are being given a different perspective, then they gain something which is really may change their entire life. I'll give you another example of time. But there was a kid, an 18-year-old kid came to me, completely not religious, and he came for a few months to the shiurim, and then one morning he comes to me, he says, Rabbi Jacobovitz, okay, I tell you, I didn't sleep the whole night. You said something terrible last night. What did he say? He said, we learned, and you said, according to Chazal say, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created this oilam hazeh be'ois hei. I'll say be'oso kalila. With a light, it's easy to pronounce, hey. This entire enterprise, he says, and then you told us all the time how prominent we are in the eyes of Hashem. Chayav Adam Lomar B'Shvili Nivra Olam, we're the center of the universe. If the entire creation of the world was nothing but a ha to Hashem, how important can I be? I'm talking about the galaxies, the magnitude is unbelievable. So, Kadosh Baruch Hu puts a machshav in my head. I said to him, listen, I want to ask you something. How old are you? He said, no, 18. how much money did your parents really invest in you so far? I don't know. Rough figures, maybe $200,000, tuition, food, trips. Okay. So I said, I want to ask you something. Do your parents love you? I said, oh my gosh, my parents are great. My mother, every time I have a little cold, she runs after me with the chicken soup. And sure, they love me. I said, I want to ask you a question. Again, it's an unconventional question, but being that you triggered me, I said, I'll ask you some very, perhaps inappropriate question. What is it? I said, tell me, how much effort did your father exert in order to cause your creation? That's nothing. Doesn't even know when it happened. So, wow, and he loves you, and he spent $200,000 on it so far. He'll spend much more later, he doesn't know. Right? What does one have to do with the other? The fact that it was not difficult to create something says that there's less love. Kadosh Baruch Hu loves you because of who you are. You're part of Him. You're chelek Tzelem Elokim. Tzelem Elokim. What kind of question? Of course He loves you. What does it have to do with the effort of creation? And he got it. Again, this young man actually lives here in Netzol in Modi'in, and he's today Baruch Hashem a Ben Torah. We spoke about the category of philosophical questions. Philosophical questions really need to be taken seriously. People really deserve attention, and they definitely react very badly when you shrug them off. It's inappropriate. It's not. It's incorrect, and I think it's very, very wrong to. One of the things, they ask me simple things, sometimes simple things, but people want to have answers. I mean, I have this thing in college campuses where I speak. I had it just about a year and a half ago in University of Michigan. I go there every once in a while. It's the place we started. I go to other colleges also. Anyway, so there was about 40 kids in my Maimonides program in the original place where the whole thing started. And somebody asked me a question, I don't remember exactly what it was, and I responded, and I, by the way, threw in something that I occasionally say that if I feel that it is. So I threw in, I said, give me any intellectually honest atheist, and I'll cure this problem within 20 minutes or less. Sounds a little arrogant. I bedafke say sometimes controversial things, and it gets their attention. So I continued with the class. I forgot about it. After the class, 6 guys, 2 girls and 4 guys, they approached me and says, Rabbi, you said something that is really, really very bothersome. 20 minutes or less, you can prove to us there is a God. I said, listen, if you give me 20 minutes, I'll do it. You have 20 minutes? He said, Rabbi, yeah. Sit down. And so I use what I always use. Again, I don't want to, but I'm sure this is all of this to you, but I use a marshal of a museum with a beautiful painting, and I make them think of. I say that it's a beautiful thing, and the guy is very impressed by it. And then he asked the curator, the guy in the museum, what's the history? So the different. Some say that it was non-bechlar picture. It was something that a rich man wanted to paint his house, was his hobby, and in order to protect his carpet, he put a canvas on the entire room, and he started painting, went to eat lunch, and the cat came in, and there was saw a mouse on the other side, and went through all the containers of paint, and became this painting. The guy came out running, he heard the commotion, and he looks at it and he says, wow, this is amazing. What my cat did is unreal, and therefore he decided to donate it to the museum. So I asked them, do you think it's rational? So they all discussing it. But again, I don't want to bore you with the details. The bottom line is, everybody says, no, it's not logical, not probable. So I said to him, you are all saying, listen to what he's saying now, because I'm going to ask you more questions. Okay, next question I asked him, tell me, who is more. Basically, you said that this thing looks planned. The eyes are in the right place, the nose in the right place. Everything is right. So basically, you're saying this is really planned. This is something engineered. So I want to ask you a question. A person, the original person, the subject of this painting, is he more engineered than the picture or less? So look at each other 1,000 times. Of course, he has a lab where you eat and there goes enzymes and the vitamins. He has a brain, hopefully, and he has, yeah, of course. So I said to them, I don't understand you guys. Professors stand in front of 400 students in college and says to you all the stupid things about everything came out of explosion. And you nod with your heads. What are you, a bunch of idiots? You can argue about God and who God is, what God, what's the purpose, a lot of things. I'm not answering anything, just the one basic question. Is there a designer to this design? If the answer is no, then I don't know what to do with you. Then it's intellectually dishonest. I was 10 minutes in the discussion, and the head guy, or the group, says to me, Rabbi, I'm not so sure I'm an atheist anymore. So I told him, thank you very much. You saved me 10 minutes. You know, it's only 10 minutes in the conversation. So, you know, by the way, actually about 2-3 months ago, a young man came to me as an yeshiva in Yerushalayim now, and to my great surprise, he says, Rabbi, you remember me? I remember, you look a little familiar. He says, I'm the guy that asked you this question, and that after that, like, I changed my whole vision. In Yerushalayim, yeshiva, he came to me for Shabbos, with a whole bunch of other students. But again, it's not, I don't want to point out great success stories. I had plenty of failures. The purpose of me sharing those things with you is to know that people are really bothered with legitimate questions, and you have to relate to them in a legitimate way and to study and to know how to answer them. The next point was the minun, the dosage. The dosage. Again, we're running out of time, but the dosage. Somebody, again, a kid on campus once asked me, he says, Rabbi, I see what you're doing, but it's really not fair because you are just presenting Judaism in the most beautiful way. But you don't tell them about the difficult things that you have to fast on Yom Kippur, Taras HaMishpach. You know, there's a lot of things that you don't tell them. Shatnez, you know, it's dishonest. I said to him, you know what? You have a good point, but I want to ask you a question. I told him the story of Reb Tzodek, the Gemara in Gittin. Greg is Reb Tzodek. Reb Tzodek fasted 40 years, and then Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai came out, and he asked the Roman emperor to be for 3 things, and one of the things was to heal Reb Tzodek. So the Gemara says, how they heal him? They came, they gave him a little nutrients, and then diluted the cereal, until finally they healed him, was able to. I said, I understand. The man fasted for 40 years. Give him a steak. Give him a steak. Doesn't he deserve it? I said, oh, Rabbi, it's going to kill him. I said, exactly. Listen to what he said. I said, in the Holocaust, right after the Holocaust, unfortunately, my mother-in-law was in Bergen-Belsen, so you know the stories. The people were so frail that they had to, you see the pictures, everybody saw the pictures. So the American soldiers were very, very, as they say, Rachmanas, they felt terrible. Generous. And they gave him chocolates, and they gave him steaks, and thousands died after the Holocaust. They never made it through. They died because of wrong nutrition. I said, do you know who I deal with? I deal with emaciated people spiritually for 3, 4, 5, sometimes 6, 7 generations. You want me to give him a spiritual steak? I can do it. I can kill the guy. But that's what you want me to do? I give him small. Now, if somebody asks me a question directly, never, I can say, Baruch Hashem, never ever did I not share with him the truth. If somebody asks you directly a question, you have to respond, of course, in a wise way. But you're not allowed to be mishane kutza shel yud. And perhaps this is a very important message. I always, in the Pirkei Avos, it says, "Heaven mitalmidav shel Aaron HaKohen, oyev shalom v'roidev shalom." Right? Love, peace. Aaron HaKohen. I said, why are we doing this to Avraham Avinu? You should say Avraham Avinu is not getting the credit. Heaven mitalmidav shel Avraham Avinu was the first one to be Mekar of the world. Right? The pshat is, Avraham Avinu was Mekar of non-Jews. Avraham Avinu wanted they should be Mekayim Sheva Mitzvahs Noach, and those who are more advanced. Aaron HaKohen is the first one who was Mekar of Jews. In Aaron HaKohen, Chazal say, Ba'alois Chesanerois, it says, Vayaskein Aaron melamed shelo ishino. Chazal want to understand, when you do Kiruv V'choikim, melamed shelo ishino. Lev from Aaron HaKohen, he was Oyev Shalom, Roidev Shalom, Umekar von la Torah. He was Mekar of them to Torah. not vice versa. There's a famous story from Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky. He came, they wanted him to show him an education institution. There was a kindergarten. And in the kindergarten, they had great chinuch, and they wanted to mechanech the kids. So the kids were very young and not so tall. So they put the mezuzah in the bottom part of the entrance. So the kids can come in the morning and kiss the mezuzah. Rabbi Yaakov came in, and he saw this. He was blown up. He says, what is that? He said, what do we want to educate our children? He says, what? Get a ladder, get a chair. Let the kid come to the Torah and not the Torah lower down to him. What a beautiful lesson. That's Adam Gadol. Okay, I think we're running out of time. So in conclusion, I just think that if we spend time focusing and understanding and studying, this is something, Baruch Hashem, Ner Le'elef is a beautiful job. I come here to teach. And young people, young rabbis come and they ask the questions and they think about it. The next week they ask questions about last week's thing sometimes. And it's like you're dealing with dinei nefashos. You're dealing here with mamish dinei nefashot, first class. And blows my mind how many times people go into kiruv, they have no clue what they're doing. I had, I must say, a great debate with Rav Noach Weinberg Zatzal. I hope he's moichel me, but I told Rav Noach, there was a public forum, I told him, Rav Noach, I love you, I love what you stand for, but you do me a favor, change your message. Don't say that every Jew can do kiruv v'choikim. It's not true. But say that every Jew can trigger kiruv v'choikim. Every Jew should have in his pocket a business card of a mekar, of someone who knows how to answer the questions. I agree with you. We have to have a campaign. But I have seen people who mamish had no clue, no idea. And they did more damage than good. That's not the way to do it. Al Koponim, I think that the oilam here is, Baruch Hashem, people that don't really need much to hear from Avraham Jacobovitz. I wish you all atzlocha in your journey, and Be'ez Hashem Yisborach, if I can be any help in the future, I would really love to. I believe in the cause. Thank you very, very much.